Cool. All right. Got some
couple people
coming in. Yeah. Let's get started. You know what, Todd? I couldn't be more proud of you because.
What does it say? I can't read.
He said, "Let's get started."
Oh, let's do it.
Well, you know, you and your 2020 vision, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
0-0.
How about this flipping stick I got here?
Yeah, we're mixing it up a little today.
A little bit.
A little bit.
I would say that it. We're gonna put that there. We'll put that there for a minute.
I had to leave our FP 937s in the rod locker.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's. I'm excited because you know we're up here. We're visiting some friends. You know, you would think that we're here in Florida, down in the basement.
No.
We just moved the whole thing.
Relocated.
We did the mobile basement. We're up on the UP right now, and we're just ready to get after it. You know, if this show goes good, I'm going to go out and jump in the lake. I mean, it's just
you can. I'm not.
It's just we're going to get wild. So this is going to be fun. It's interesting. I've learned a lot in the last few days, and you know, we've been studying hard. So go easy on us. The true hardcore ice guys and girls out there that build, go easy. We're going to bring you guys some cool tips and some tricks to hopefully kind of help y'all, you know, get building in general, get building ice rod blanks or ice rods in general. But, you know, the great thing about this is there's a lot of cool things that we've got coming that, you know, will help you no matter what you're building. And then also try to get you guys started in some ice.
Yeah, because, I mean, you know, folks out in Florida are still enjoying those 85, 90-degree days. But,
I mean, we got a hurricane coming.
yeah.
So,
well, hopefully we don't. I mean,
no. Shout out to the Panhandle. We're thinking about you because we know we got plenty of rod builders out there. I know one of the guys, it's one of our great customers, Nathan Powers. He's out there. He's, you know, and everybody else. So
hope it's not as bad, or hopefully nothing at all happens.
We'll get Michael out of here real quick. So,
but
anyway, we're gonna do some ice stuff.
A lot of ice fishing stuff.
Ice fishing stuff.
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking about like 22 below and things. Whew. So,
yeah, it's getting to be that time of year.
I've seen some snow falling on the news.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we had some snow in here. The floor's a little wet, so if we slip and fall, you know, please. But anyway, so I guess it looks like everybody's coming in. Everybody want to kind of get going. What I would say is to get your ice holes ready. Let's do this.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission.
And we're back.
Great intro, by the way.
Yeah.
I love it.
You gotta love
you've
it.
been waiting for that. As soon as the topic was brought up, you were just craving.
Been working on it. Working on it.
It was good.
And all right, so where are we gonna start? I'll let you take it away.
Well, it's got to start obviously with a blank. You know, we're not going to get too specific, obviously. I know you guys probably have a ton of questions on recommendations for blanks and stuff like that, but we're not going to get too detailed into that because obviously we're still learning too. We're not experts on ice fishing by no degree.
No.
But we're just going to give you start to finish general rod building tips, and like Chris said, this goes for all across the board. Doesn't matter if you're building an ice rod, a finesse rod, offshore rod. Some of these tips might even help you in your rod building. So, don't go anywhere just yet.
Right.
We still got some great tips for you.
And I would venture to say that in our discussions with some of our pro staff guys and some of our kind of lead rod builders that teach the classes, Buzz Butters, of course, plays a key role in this because he's so good at all of this. Obviously, we reached out to him, but one of the unique parts about this is he recommended, and I have to agree with him here in general rod building as well as in ice fishing, that try not to get so hung up on the type of fish you're trying to catch and matching that to the ice rod blank or the build that you're going to be doing. So because everything is scaled down and you're using 1 and 2 and 3 pound test line and we've got some little jigs and jig wraps and some different things like that, stuff that is built on like fly hooks. We really want to tailor the build to the lure. So are you going to be fishing 200 foot down for lake trout and you're going to be using a big tungsten jig? And granted, big is relative, but are you going to be using that heavier tungsten jig? Are you going to be using a jig wrap, where you're going to be working the bait a little bit? Are you going to be dead sticking? Are you going to be doing those kinds of things? So don't get caught up. I mean, Buzz said, hey, I've caught a 40-inch muskie on one of the 28 ULs, so that's a blank that I would not, or I don't believe any, ice fisherman is going to be like, okay, I'm going to go out, I'm going to target 40-inch muskies, and I'm going to pick the 28 UL. That maybe is not in your mind, but a lot of these rod blanks and whether you fish light line and different things like that, I'm going to tailor it, and I would recommend to tailor it as well as I know. We had a discussion on this.
Yep.
Tailor it to the lure that you're using more so than, I'm going to be pan fishing.
Yeah.
I'm going to be catching perch, or I want to go after northerns or muskies or things like that. Tailor it more to your water depth and how heavy your jig is. If it's a tiny tungsten, if it's a spoon, if it's something like that. So that's my recommendation. On,
yeah, no, that's good
that.
because first your rod has to perform with what you're fishing with. It'd be a little jig or one of the bigger spoons or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And you might be trying to catch a crappie or a bluegill or a panfish, and all of a sudden you do catch a muskie. That's going to happen. That happens with all types of fishing for sure.
Right.
But first you're riding to perform, with that lure that you're fishing with, make it most effective.
Yeah, absolutely. Because surprisingly, and of course we learned this too, there is a huge range of I guess an action and power of an ice rod. So you have things that are power noodles, which are super, super light tips with some backbone. And then you have, the carbon blanks, which kind of act more like I would imagine a carbon ice rod blank acting. And, if you're fishing something that's so super light that you need to detect, the slightest bites or even those negative strikes, that I know that happen where, you're sitting there fishing and either your spring bobber or your rod tip just relaxes. Fishes pick that jig up. Mm-hmm. So that's something that, if you're not keyed in with the right rod blank, it doesn't matter what fish is on the end of that rod. If you can't detect the right bite, if you can't detect the negative bite, you're going to have a problem, being successful on the ice.
Yeah.
So
we had a couple quick questions before we jump into it.
Yeah.
Dave, any specific guide types that you would suggest that is resistant to freezing up? We'll definitely get into that soon.
Yeah.
There's a couple suggestions that we have for that one, so we'll dive into that a little bit later.
Right.
And let's see, Ken, is there any trick that can be used to wrap the guides tight to the blank and not stress out? Yes, absolutely. We have a really cool tool that actually Buzz came up with that really to especially towards the tip section of the blank, really helps you free up that stress that's on the tip and allows you to wrap it a lot easier. So
yeah, and that's going to be something that you could use on a 2-weight fly rod or an ultralight spinning rod or an ice rod.
Yeah.
So that's going to be something that you're definitely going to want to see. It's a really neat deal. It's something easy that you can.
And we got giveaways too, so don't forget about those.
Don't forget the giveaways, and we've got ice kits are 25% off. So we're running the ice kits deal now, 25% off, and of course you get free shipping over $99. That's just standard now.
Yep.
So the guys in the back, they really are doing a great job with that. So, yeah. All right, let's do this.
All right.
Go ahead.
So basically, the process when you get your ice rod or start your build is almost the same across the board for any blank, really. You want to find the spine. And it's almost kind of a similar process. Typically you would take and deflect it either on a hard tabletop or even your spine finder. But some of these ice blanks are like they're very, very short. So that's not easy to do.
Right.
So what we recommend is doing is if you'll just hold it in your right hand, and all you got to do is we also recommend putting a piece of masking tape or some kind of tape as like a little flyer almost to show you where this blank is spinning at. And so what that does is, hold in your right hand, and you'll deflect it with your left hand just a little bit, and then you want to rotate it again with your right hand, your thumb and your pointer finger. What this allows you to do is when you spin it, you'll see your masking tape wants to jump. And this blank, like most blanks out there, will usually have at least one and sometimes two spines. And when it jumps to a really hard spot, like right there, that's going to be what we refer to as your spine. And that's going to be the strongest axis on your rod blank. And so, for instance, this one right here, I've got the top of the spine marked, and you want to put your guides on the bottom, spinning.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's your basis. And that's for pretty much any rod blank across the board. You want to find the spine is the first step.
Yeah, exactly. And that's unique because obviously if we're doing fly rods or casting rods, we're putting it on this surface and we're kind of tweaking it like this. And whereas that might work for some of these, and it feels pretty good here because this is a carbon blank. Mm-hmm. It's not too soft in the tip. Some of the power noodles are, beefy here, but they're so soft that, actually taking it and deflecting it with your hand and doing like that is a really nice way, because you're not dealing with a 7-footer.
Exactly.
Right? So you can put it in your hand like this. You can hook it over. Now remember, just like always, and Hunter did a great job, you really don't need to get past 90 here, So you got your plane, you really don't need to come past 90. And then you can kind of, use it in the base of your hand, spin it there, just like you'd use the big, a regular blank on the table here, but that being able to have it and it's small because some of these ice blanks are 8.5 inches.
Yeah, this is one of the longer ones.
Yeah,
so.
this is one of the longer ones, like you said. So that's probably this blank that I had pulled here. Steve was asking what is just a good all-purpose blank, and actually that blank that I was holding there is the CIB 36. So that's one of those that is something. If you've never built one and you just want to jump in and, hey, I want to pick, granted, we've got ice kits out there, but if, you want to get a little fancy, like some of the stuff we're going to show you here, and you want to pick your own guides and you want to do that stuff, the CIB 36, that's going to be, an all-around. If I was going to go for the first time, from what I've been told and all that, I would probably just build those and get out there and figure it out, Yeah. So, but
go from there.
Yeah.
That's your first step. So after that, what we usually dive into handle.
Right.
Handle and grips and obviously these are also courtesy of Buzz too. He really helped us out in this whole deal.
Sure.
He gave us some coaching and also sent us some rods to display.
Yeah.
And when I first thought of ice rods, I thought, well, typically the ones I've seen before are kind of basic. They're
Right.
just average and kind of plain. But
Sure.
But you can really put the custom touch into a lot of these ice rods, whether it be the magic marble grips that you see here. You can even use an SK2 seat. You're not really limited to just average or basic parts. You can really add a nice touch to some of these rods like he's done here. Even these custom wood handles, or not wood handles, but cork handles.
Yep.
And then even, where's that guy right down there.
Oh, this thing.
The EVA.
Yeah. So this is a pretty unique deal. There's a couple things that I like about this build in general. So what he's got here is he's got an EVA section, and then he's got his blank and guides. Now, they went through and they painted this. I don't know, Guffey, you going to get in here on that? You can see that there is a pattern on this blank, okay? So how this goes about, and the great thing about these ice rod blanks is, you don't have a whole lot to work with. So it's pretty easy to spray paint stuff, to dip stuff, to color the tips, to do that, because you're not dealing with a 7, 8, 10-footer. So right here, the blue, white, and black camo, and he's also cut, if you can see in here, there's channels cut in it. So what he did is he put it on a lathe and he ran cuts in it. And what he's got here is, this is that Eagle Claw inline reel that I know so many people have been using. And he's got these, the colored O-rings, and that's what's going to attach this reel to this grip, okay? So that was put on a lathe, and then, you kind of measure up how big your reel foot is. Then you run your channels in there to hold your reel to this blank and handle, really. So how this goes and how to do this, we've talked about that Krylon Fusion paint in the past. That paint, you can buy it at hardware stores, and this is something that's not just ice related, this is something in the broader picture. So what he did here is you spray paint this blank white with the Krylon Fusion. The Krylon Fusion is something that has a flex agent in it. Anytime you're dealing with rods that bend or plastic, which is what Krylon made that for, plastic children's furniture and toys and stuff like that, because of the flex agent, it's not going to crack and flake off. So just like when you want to magic marble grips, you see here we have taken a cork grip and we've put a base white on it. Now this is just a general base white. This does not have to be the Krylon Fusion because it's a solid piece. So put a base white down. So you base white this blank, Krylon Fusion. Then what they did is they cut a thinner strip of the drywall mesh tape. So the drywall mesh tape has a little sticky side to it, and then it also has all the squares that, we have used that to do arbors and reel seats and stuff because the epoxy penetrates it. So now what you're going to do is you're going to spiral wrap this blank all the way to the end, and then you can come through here, and what they did is use blue and black, just both Krylon Fusion, blue and black all through here, and then you can see where the white shows through from the bottom as well, and the black and the blue are vivid because they're on a white base. But it's kind of neat because it gives kind of an interesting camo pattern with the little squares and stuff. And then he came back in and used the variegated thread in here. And then of course, the variegated thread, that always gives a different pattern. So it really does a great job of, kind of giving you that custom look that's really, really unique. It ties it all in, and it's really great. And before I get off of this blank here, I'm going to show, okay, let's make sure we get this tip here. So that tip is actually high vis, okay? So because this rod blank does not have like a painted tip like some of these, whether it's green or orange, the guys will come in and they'll put a high vis alternating thread here. So that's like a blaze orange and a yellow. And what that's going to do is, apparently when you're ice fishing, not only is it crazy to be out there in 20-degree weather, but let's go out there early in the morning or late at night when it's tough to see as well. So that makes total sense to me. But the great part is this is going to give you that high vis tip that a lot of these other painted blanks are. And a side tip from the experts is to use the glow wrap. So we've got our Pro Wrap glow wrap, and that comes in a couple different colors. And it really dawned on me because, I kind of relate it to sword fishing. So here in Florida and a number of other places up and down the East Coast, you've been sword fishing at night. We even sword fish in the daytime now. Yeah. Well, a lot of the times you're running baits down 1,000 feet, right? It's dark down there, okay? So they'll put lights on baits and different things like that. Well, I've noticed, and Buzz was cool enough to send us kind of a mix of, what we're dealing with here. So we've got jig wraps, we've got tungsten jigs, we've got little tiny stuff, road runners, spoons, and all that. Well, so a UV light is one of those deals that most of the ice guys that I have spoken with, they've got a UV light. They got a UV light in their bag because they're charging their glow spoons and their glow tungsten heads and all that. Well, not only will the Pro Wrap charge from regular light, if you throw a UV light on that glow wrap, it's something else. Yeah. So if you're already carrying a UV light for your jigs and your jig heads and all that stuff, now you've got the glow wrap there to add a nice touch out here on the tip that also helps you, to detect bites and things like that. So, yeah, that's kind of a hopefully we can give you all a little action there.
Yeah, that's
little tips
something
there.
I would have never thought of. We were talking about that. It's
Yeah.
just something it makes sense. But then, small little tips like that can really, you can notice more bites, catch more fish, and then everybody's happy.
Well, because I know, sometimes we'll fish under the dock lights, here for snook and baby tarpon and trout and stuff. And, we have glow that we can put into our epoxy when we tie flies and we finish the heads out. And we carry a UV light for fixing knots or fixing a hole in your waders or, doing all that stuff. So, you carry that UV light around, charge a fly, you charge the tip, you charge the jig head. Ties it all together.
Ready to go.
That's it.
All right, well, that is, let's see. So we're still on handles, aren't we?
Still on handles.
We got to talk about one of the most popular questions is, you're dealing with a very small outside diameter on your rod blank.
Yes.
And a lot of guys ask, well, how do you put, your handle when you're dealing with, most of your cork grips or anything like that? Usually the smallest inside diameter is about a 1/4 inch. So what we come out with, there's a couple ways you can do this, obviously, but this is what we refer to as, the part number is IRHT. So basically this allows you to, basically you can act like this is a mandrel.
Yeah.
So you can build your entire handle, and you can cut this down if you need to. It allows you to build your entire handle on this sleeve, and then you affix this onto your rod blank, just like that. And obviously you can add a couple arbors in there to secure it down. And not only can you, just makes it more simple, but you can also add length to any ice rod blank. So if you got a 28 inch or even,
this is the 36.
The 36, and you want to make it over 40 inches, just leave probably at least 2 to 3 inches of your rod blank inside this tube, and all of a sudden you're working with a lot of extra length on the end of your rod. So you can extend it out to, you can almost do, 8 to 10 inches probably?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that we have touched on with, our CRB handle systems, that have that big graphite tube that the grips and the reel seat. The wind handle system also has that. That's not something that, the rod blank doesn't have to go all the way to the end of that.
No.
It really just needs to incorporate the entire handle section. And then you trim the extra, or you can hang a little bit off the extra, or whatever. And that just adds that extra level of custom to your rod blank. Because if you've got one that you really, really like the action, and you're like, oh man, what would be great is if that 36 was really 39 or 41 or whatever. Well, bam, it's up to you.
And also a good tip is if you need to go even a larger OD on your sleeve, these aluminum arrow shafts, where can you get those at? What do you think?
Well, I mean, a lot of the guys, for those that are, bow hunters, Easton makes them. There's probably 3 or 4 other manufacturers that make an aluminum arrow shaft, and that's something that you can buy, at one, buy a dozen, and a lot of those arrows are, in varying lengths out to 40 inches probably. And those are the guys that are making custom arrows. They fletch their own vanes on them, they put their own broadheads or field tips or whatever on them. You can go to anywhere that sells archery stuff. I mean, I want to say, probably Academy Sports, Dick's Sporting Goods, your local archery shop, and of course that's the whole fishing and hunting probably together. If you go in to buy your jigs and line and all that, I would say in some of the places, I know around here or in, up north, there's a hunting and a fishing store in one together if it's a small mom and pop shop. And that doesn't even have to be a super nice arrow. That can just be your aluminum arrow shaft, and you put it right on there and you're ready to rock.
Yep.
So,
but as you can see, it just allows you to create a custom grip. You can glue your cork rings on there, do your nice inlays with the burnt rings, and then all of a sudden you got a custom cork grip on your ice rod.
Yeah. Covey, can you get, this is not my, can you get the one off my desk, please? Because Corey's asking, what's the OD of that tube? All right, so still talking about handles. Here is another kind of cool tip for using that sleeve to build on, and like Hunter was saying, about using it as a mandrel. So when you notice, I'll wait till Guffey gets back in here. Thanks, buddy. All right, so let me touch on this real quick. All right, so this is the sleeve, the IR?
HT.
IRHT.
-10.
-10. This is a 243. So I'm getting 245, 243. So the OD on that is pretty much going to match your, your 1/4 inch. This arrow shaft OD is 335, 336, and those are in inches. And of course, you can buy varying ODs of arrow shafts. So that's just going to be based on whatever one you buy. And again, it doesn't have to be fancy. I'd probably just get the cheapest one or whatever's on sale, to be honest with you. All right, so that's that. That takes care of you, Corey. Thanks for asking that question. That's actually really good. All right, so we're going to move on to this style of a handle system. Now, this is a pretty neat deal because you're going to take any kind of cork, from burl stuff to burnt stuff to colored cork and all of that stuff. So again, we're going to use, on this blank, we're going to use the aluminum arrow shaft. And you can notice that this has a finish on it. You can see there's a decal under there. That one says the Crappie Reaper in that bad boy. So we've also got variegated thread down here. We also have a game fish decal here, this crappie on that. This, to me, is a absolutely killer look, and how you get that look, as well as how you get this look. Now, we've got some tape on here just because we're going to show you some static deflection, and how you get this taper here. This and this is a very similar piece. You've got trim rings on either end, and that's going to be something that's also got a coating on it. So what we've got is this is your grip as you glue up your cork rings, okay? It is on the aluminum arrow shaft, and you can now use this as a mandrel. You can turn on this stuff. Then what you're going to do is you're going to get down to this, okay? So we got that down to here, okay? So you've turned this on the shaft, now we're good to go. Now what we're going to do to get a piece like this is we are going to leave the section of the arrow shaft out the back, as you can see here, okay? So that is now going to fit in your RDS system. So you've got your rod dryer, you've got, whether you have guides and stuff out here or not, get this mounted on your rod blank. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put multiple coats of, I would probably do a high build here, or you could just do, 3, 4, 5 coats of just our standard pro coat. However you want this to look. If you want there to be decals in it, what I would do is I would put 1 or 2 coats, put a decal, put 1 or 2 coats over it. That's going to give you really, really, really beautiful depth there. Then the trick to that is obviously it's going to be like this. You need to get rid of this. So you're then going to cut this off, cut it flush. You can get your Dremel out. You can cut that off. I'm not going to cut this on live, but again, the Dremel tool, probably the best $40 I've ever spent in rod building. You're going to cut that back section off. Now it's going to be flush. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fill that hole. You can take some, matching whatever kind of burnt cork or whatever that is. You actually can take that, mix that with some pro paste or whatever epoxy that you like using. Mix that in there so it's going to color match it. You're going to put it into the back side here. You can see this. You're going to put that into the back side. That's going to fill that aluminum arrow shaft. If you want to, and depending on how much you tint that epoxy, or I'm sorry, the epoxy that goes on the end here, you can cover that. If you want to put a cap or a decorative cap, you can slide that decorative cap right into the end of that arrow shaft. And then what you're going to do is after all this is cured and all that, then you can take and stand that up, tape it against the wall, put it in a, maybe a tabletop vise, something that's going to hold it straight up and down, and then come back and add a couple really light coats of the exact same finish that you use here, but all you're going to do is you're going to kind of pull that on top of it. Make sure it's sanded smooth after you've put whatever on there. You obviously won't have to do that if you use a decorative butt cap or, I've put a coin, in the bottom of the fly grips or something like that.
Yeah.
So just do that, and that's kind of the tip and the trick to get kind of a cool deal like that. Joe asked what finish is on the cork. That is multiple coats of whatever your favorite high build is. So, I'm going to use the Pro Coat high build. Some guys use the Threadmaster. Some guys use Flex Coat. Whatever your favorite finish is, that's going to be multiple coats on that. And then you're good to go. And then, finish wrapping out, put your finish on, you're ready to rock. And it gives you something that really stands out. And I know sometimes, guys will use different styles of tape or different O-rings to put your reel on there, and
good to go.
That's really cool. I like that. It's
Good
pretty
touch.
sharp.
Nice touch.
Yep. We'll talk about guides.
Yeah, so guides, that was one of the first questions we had. So I'd say across the board, well, just in general, you want the largest ring that you can get by with, because obviously in ice fishing, a constant worry is your guide's freezing up, especially towards the tip where the majority of the water's coming in, and it wants to instantly freeze up. So I know a really popular guide across the spectrum is Minima. Pack Bay Minima guides are huge because you're dealing with a non-ceramic guide. It's got a metal ring, so you have pretty much the largest possible ID on that ring that you can get. And of course, we have a couple here. If you guys want to check these out, these are, this is a high frame in my left hand, your right side. It's a standard single foot spin guide in my other hand.
Yeah, so like Hunter was saying, you don't have a ceramic in there taking up the space because per just all guides across the board, the frame, the inside of the frame is going to be your measurement. So if that's a 16, your frame size is a 16, so any size of ceramic or insert is going to shrink the opening of that guide. And of course, you get a lot of weight out of ceramic.
Right.
So, you're going to lighten it up, and you're also going to maximize your space inside of that guide.
Yep.
Now,
so the non-ceramics are obviously a very, very popular choice for obvious reasons. And of course, we got the new CRB guides. I'm sure a lot of you guys have already used a few of those. Really, really popular because it's the same effect. This is a ceramic guide, obviously.
So look at how, obviously these are different sizes, but the difference between that LZR ceramic and the no ring, you still got a lot of room here.
You still do.
So if you're somebody that really wants a ceramic, I'm going to go with something that's going to, maximize your opening. The LZR is really going to do a good job of that. So you want to talk about some deflection, maybe some spacing?
Yeah, so when you're starting off, I'd say the most common guide train would be somewhere starting with probably a size 20 or a 16. And then you're going to, gradually step down to possibly a 10 or an 8. Like I said, the high frames are very, very popular because sometimes you are working with, a size, maybe 1,000,
That's probably a
1,500, maybe a 2,000 or 2,500 at the absolute most. So you still have some height coming off of this reel seat that you have to, put into play, obviously.
Sure.
So that's where the high frames come in. So like I said, we'll probably start with maybe a 16, 12, 10, and maybe a couple 8s. And you can even go down to, I don't think that might be a 6.
Yeah, a 6 or a 5. I know Buzz was saying that he does use, down to 5s at time, and then even runs out to a 4 and a top. Now, the reason that he uses a 4 typically if he's going to use a Minima is because in that Minima, that tip top comes in a 3.5 tube size. Mm-hmm. So, he likes that, and that's kind of up for discussion based on if you want to use a ring that small. He says that he has very little problems, keeping the ice out of that, whether he's inside of a hut or he's outside. Because, of course, that can play a role into it. If you're fishing out and it's super, super cold, it's going to be one of those deals that, you might get some ice on the guides. But if you do want to use the minimas and you do want a matching tip top rather than, rather than your wire fly guide here, this is the fly top that comes in all the way down to a 2.5 tube. So this gets used a lot, but here's that's your minima option, and that is a 4-ring in a minima, and that's because it comes in a 3.5 tube, which, even you can get pretty close.
Yeah.
I mean, even if the rod blank is a 3 or so tube size, that 3.5 will still work.
Yeah, and that is probably the most challenging part, is trying to match up that tip top when you're dealing with, once you get down to that small, ring size, but still trying to make it the biggest as possible, is matching up your tube size, because most of these ice blanks are anywhere from a 3.5 probably at most down to a 2.5, sometimes a 2.
Yeah.
So that's where sometimes you have to, you can't match them up perfectly sometimes. You might have to throw in your wire top style. I think it's an XFT XL, I believe,
Yeah,
2.5.
that's the extra large top in the hard chrome. So that would be an XFT XL.
Yeah.
And a 2.5. That one's a 2.5.
Yeah. And then so the next part would be when you go to do your guide layout or your guide train. We found that most of the guys, from your reel or from the lip of your reel, go out to about 10 inches or so, and no closer than about 8 inches. And then from there, you're basically going to do a static deflection just like you would do with any rod.
Yeah.
You're going to use anywhere from, 4 to maybe 6 guides at most, depending on the length of your ice blank. And then we've got this high-vis thread set up here so you can see. Now, this is a very short ice blank or ice rod, but as you can see, we've got, 5 guides on here. So what this will allow you to do is when you do deflect this rod, you can see, yes, there obviously are some sharp points there, but this is going to give you the best line flow out towards your tip.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, some of these, especially in that blank, I mean, a lot of the ice rod blanks are not known for being a nice parabolic action. Most of the time, you get flex in the last 4.5 inches of the tip, and the rest is pretty firm.
Yeah.
So, depending on what blank you're using, I mean, this is the same way here. You're going to get, I mean, that would be about as extra fast or so as you could possibly get. So, that's going to be something that, we provide you guys with spacing for some of this stuff and our CRB rod kits and whatnot, but it's really going to be crucial that you put them on with bands or tape or something like that and do a static deflection to make sure that you get a nice flow out through that rod, because you can get such extremes with ice blanks. You're not, now granted, this one I want to say is like a 42. That really bends a lot like a spinning rod that we would fish inshore with. Mm-hmm. But this isn't always the typical. This is going to be something that's a little bit beefier, and that right there, you could probably take the guide spacing that's off your 7-foot medium heavy and shrink it down and cut the guide numbers in half and do it. But again, that's way different than something like this. Even when I try to get it down into the mid here, it doesn't even want to, so that's really, really light out here in the tip. So
Chad says, couldn't you just add an extra guide or two? Yeah, absolutely. That's basically essentially what we're saying. A lot of these ice rods that you'll see, in the stores will have 3 or 4 guides on them.
Yeah.
Whereas we're saying, if you do a correct static deflection, it never hurts to add an extra guide.
No, it really doesn't. And when you're playing with stuff like the minimas and the LZRs, your weight to add that extra guide is so minimal that I think you would see a much greater benefit of adding the extra guide, even if it's, very, very, little in weight. You would see a benefit in adding the extra guide and then, putting it in there, even if you have to deal with that tiny little bit of extra weight that the extra guide has. I would opt in, throw the extra guide in, do your static deflection. Going to be, that's going to give you the truest thing. We can give you guide spacing all day long that's going to be good, but to make your guide spacing great on anything, we always recommend static deflection. whether it's a flip and stick or an ice blank or something like that. So, yeah. Before we get away from that, let's backtrack a little bit. We need to show what happens when you don't use a sleeve.
Yeah.
So we've talked about a bunch of, this is what you should do in ice rod building. Let's touch on a don't, because I think for me even, when I was getting into this and doing some research and looking, and I've always known that you got to be careful with all of this ice stuff because of how much flex involves in it. But we really need to show how important using that sleeve, especially when you do a really nice grip and you put everything together. The last thing you want to do is for it to just come apart like this.
Yeah, and as you can see, this one does not have a support sleeve underneath these cork rings in this reel seat. And what this does over time is, and I know you guys can't hear this, but if I put deflection in this rod, I can hear it separating, and you can actually move these pieces on both sides.
You can actually flex those. You can see that flex come out. I mean, granted, you can't flex the seat because the seat's, like a regular seat, but you can flex all around it. So.
And over time, it's just going to work itself apart, and that's something you do not want to see.
Yeah. I see Bob's got a question here. Guys, can we move that? We need to move those cursors down. I cannot see with the link there. So get that squared away. We'll get Bob's question answered. That is a really critical piece, though. Mm-hmm. So whether you use the arrow shaft, whether you use the carbon insert, or to be honest with you, whether you have pieces of rod blank at home that have some rigidity to them and you use those, all that's going to work.
Yeah.
All that'll work.
So Bob says, I fished with them 50 years ago, but never made one looking forward to it. How critical is the guide placement? Well, just like with any other rod, it's very crucial. Now, obviously, you're dealing with a lot less guides. Adding that extra guide, like Chris said earlier, it's hard to measure how much more you gain in performance. But when it comes down to it, we're all building custom rods for a reason.
Sure.
Whether it be for aesthetics or you want more performance out of your rod, why not add that extra guide and have, just the thought of mind of it being a better performing rod than maybe your buddies that bought it, at the sporting goods store.
For sure. And now, granted, it's still going to fish, Bob. Don't think like, if I don't get the exact spacing with the exact number of guides. Now, granted, there is a difference if this rod only had 3 guides on it. I would say that you'd have a rough go.
Yeah.
But if you had, if you added one more on this, is that wrong? No, it's not wrong. If you laid it out just like this, it's going to fish. Granted, you're not going to be casting these. So, this isn't a situation that you've got to make sure that everything is perfectly spaced from the reel and the height and all that. Now, granted, we can hone down everything that, we do. We can always make something a little bit better. But, if you get one of our rod kits, ice rod kits, which we're going to give away shortly, live on the air, if you get one of the rod kits, follow the spacing. We didn't just pull that out of the air. We actually went through, put the spacing out. If you get the kit spacing, you're going to be good. It's certainly not rocket science, but if you do take the R spacing and then add in a little static deflection, it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better.
Yep.
Follow up on, I noticed you're not using graphite handles. Is graphite bad in ice? To be honest with you, the only reason we didn't have a graphite handle out is we didn't put one together. I've seen guys using the carbon fiber or the graphite handle. It's this being the American Tackle Arrow seat here. These are obviously our standard grips that you'll see. That looks like that RSG3T that goes in the back of an arrow. That looks like an SGFBE, probably a number 1 or a 2. Mm-hmm. There's a sleeve in here you can see because obviously this diameter is real small here. This is a sleeve in here that he put the whole handle system on. So yeah, we're using all of this here. This is cork. You can kind of feel it. The cork, and you white coat it like that. Put a base down, then do your magic marble over the top, build the handle, and then just make sure you run the blank down in the sleeve however far you want it. This rod blank, I'm not sure. It could be this far down the sleeve. It could be all the way down the sleeve, and that'll help you there. I wouldn't, and I know some of the ice experts certainly could help maybe chime in on materials that are, maybe colder to the touch or worse, but graphite, it's not like it's going to crack or degrade or break on you or anything. I mean, if you wanted to use a standard Fuji reel seat, whether it's the SK2 one like this one, or you wanted to use a barrel seat, or this back piece was, instead of being cork with a clear coat and magic marble, if you wanted to use carbon fiber and coat it or not coat it, I mean, that's the good thing, is the possibilities with a lot of these ice blanks are pretty much endless. So
yeah, I think it really comes down to the style of fishing you're doing too, which we got a lesson on that. Is there's not just one way to ice fish. There's people that fish outside and they might jump to multiple holes that they have through the ice, or you might be inside of a shack that's heated and comfortable,
right. Which sounds more.
That sounds way better. But that might come down to what type of handle that you like. This type of handle that has the Pro Coat over it. That one might be, if you use it outside when it's 25 below, that might be a little more cold to the touch, Or...
Sorry, guys. Apparently the people in the back are having a bucket fight, so they're cleaning up back there. So if you got some background noise, we apologize.
So this might be a handle that you might want to use, inside. It's a little bit warmer. And maybe if you are fishing outside, you might want to opt for more of an EVA handle that might not be as cold to the touch. So... it just comes down to personal preference and how you guys fish, and just like with all custom rod building.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, again, it's going to be one of those deals that choose your rod blank based on the lure you're using, what feels comfortable to you, where you're going to be fishing, if you're going to be inside, if you're going to be outside, and, kind of let the rest, fall where it may. That's where it's going to be. So we've got blanks. We've got handles. We've got guides. Why don't we do, so as always, it's a like and a share here to win, do the rod kit deal. So make sure you like and share. Obviously, everybody that's been commenting and asking questions and all that, we'll get the guys in the back. They're watching. They're answering questions. Guys, let's go ahead and we'll do a live giveaway. Put the names up. We'll get that for everybody that's been following along. We'll continue here with the show. I'll keep. I got a few more little things we want to talk about, but let's go ahead and we'll do the giveaway as we're going through here. So stay with us. We'll sift through. The guys in the back will sift through. We'll get some stuff up, and then I'll announce it while I'm doing this. All right. So people talk about spring bobbers.
Yeah.
The Ice Strong. They come in a couple different sizes. I think it's an ultralight, an original, and an extra strong or extra heavy, or what's the tip?
I think there is. Let's see. I actually got them over here. There's the original.
Okay.
I think it's the most popular.
I think original is most popular. If you're a panfish guy, that's it. Original, that's the one you want. If you're going to be doing, if you're like dead sticking, the XL is the one you're going to want, and then
you got the UL.
Then you've got the ultralight. I would just say if you're using an ultralight, just use the ultralight. Unfortunately, I don't know. But there are 3 sizes. Lots of people really, really like these. And there's a couple ways you can put them on. I'm going to show you this one here. This is on the CIB 36. And we have, now keep in mind, I kind of went overboard here. The reason I did that with this guide tubing is so that y'all at home can see this, okay? So I put 3 pieces of guide tubing on the end here. This is that XFT XL in a 2.5. Oh no, I'm sorry, a 3.5, I think. Yeah, it's a 3.5. Extra large loop, 3.5. This is the wire fly top. The reason we are using, in this situation, guide tubing, this is GT0, right? So this is the smallest guide tubing. What we did is before I slid this tip top on, I cut 3 pieces, again, just so you can see it, slid it on there. I did the CRB glue stick that we use for all of our tip top stuff, put the tip top on. Now, the reason I'm showing it like this is because you can slide this in and out, okay? This, you know, is really strong. It's not gonna come out, you know, we're hanging the rod blank by it, pull on it pretty good, and it's almost all the way out. You can see it's just all the way to the back here. Now, if you want this to be shorter a little bit, if you want it to be out all the way, this allows you to make on-the-fly changes. You're sitting out on the ice and you need to adjust it for whatever reason. If you want a little bit shorter, you want a little bit longer, fully adjustable,
right,
in and out. And if these ever break, you just pull your tip top off with a little hot cement, add some more on there, and you're good. Now, if you want more of a permanent fix, you would use the bobbin, okay? So what you can do is, just like you wrap your tip top or your guide or a fly, you would just come in, you'll hold that?
Yep.
So, you know, you would come in and you would lock that down. I can grab that. You know, you do a thread wrap, put it in, lay your loop, and then of course you've got your, this is the XL. So, you know, you lay your XL in here. Of course, I left that a little bit long. You would do your thread wraps just like this, clean it up. I would do the glow wrap. Then you'd lay your your little loop in there. Make sure it's all straight. Obviously, it's a little crooked here because there's already one there with finish on it. But you'd lay it in there, put it in, and just dab your finish on there. Or if in a pinch you need to use super glue, something like that. But that's a good way to use a bobbin and either some hot pink pro wrap, some orange, some chartreuse, you know, something that's really going to set that color off or match the rest of your rod blank. So, you know, it depends on what you're trying to get out of your spring bobber. You know, are you going to want one that's adjustable and you want to use the guide tubing, or do you want one that's permanently affixed and you want glow wrap on there? That's really what that boils down to. So,
and those these spring bobbers also come with a small little piece of heat shrink tubing. So if you slide that on, you know, before you actually wrap it with a bobbin,
yeah,
you can put that over top of your wrap and clean it up nicely, and
yeah,
it's not going anywhere after that.
No, absolutely. And you can always get some, if you want to use that one, I know that there's a lot of other heat shrinks on the market that even have like epoxy inside of them or whatever. If it was me, I'd probably opt for the tubing and be able to adjust it if I wanted to.
Oh, absolutely.
I like to be able to make changes on the fly. So, all right, so this is an important piece. We'll get the hand wrapper out. I'm going to slide some stuff around. This is a part of the show that a lot of people have asked about, wrapping guides on the very, very delicate tip tops of ice, of fly, of some different things like that. So you want to string that one up for me while I'm talking? So what we've got is we've got a tool that Buzz Butters has provided us. Now, this is a DIY deal. This is something that you can do at home. So this is brass tubing, okay? The inner diameter of this tubing is 335. The outer is 375. So what we're looking at here is, this is brass tubing. Sometimes it comes in aluminum. If you go to like Michael's or Joann Fabrics or a craft store, things like that, you can get this. Sometimes you can get it at Home Depot or Lowe's. I purposely got a smaller size today at Lowe's. So this comes in, you know, a 6-inch section. The outer diameter of this is 3/16, and this was 3/8. So you can get them larger, smaller, whatever. Be careful, because the way I'm going to show you how to use this is, if you get the one that's like a 1/2 inch inner, the outer diameter is going to be too big to chuck in a drill, unless you've got a drill chuck that's a larger than a 1/2 inch drill chuck, which most just hand drills are 1/2 inch drill chucks. So, show you real quick how this goes. Brass tubing, EVA block, okay? Now, I'm going to show you with the small one. We're going to put in the drill. we're going to chuck in the brass tube. So if you notice, this has some holes drilled in it. So what we've got is we're going to take this brass tubing and we're going to drill through this EVA like it's a drill bit. All right. So what that's going to do is that's going to load the inside of this with this EVA. And it's really easy. You know, you can just lay it down on the table, get it going, and it actually heats it up a little bit. You can tell I've been doing this all afternoon because I'm running out of battery. But if you notice, Guffey, I don't know about that one, but this one you can certainly see. So this is the end of the brass tubing loaded with EVA in it, okay? So if you really, really want to get technical with it, you can measure how long the drill bit is that you're going to be then drilling a pilot hole into this EVA with, and you can cut the EVA to be the same depth. The reason for that is, so we're going to take this out of the drill. We're now going to take, when I was at the shop, I think this was a 1/16. Yeah. So I've now got a 1/16 inch drill bit. And into this, I'm going to drill right down the center. Okay. Got it drilled right down the center, and again, I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to try to, does that hand help for like a backing so that it zooms on it? Okay. So hopefully you can see that there is a tiny, tiny pinhole, and that is in that EVA. Now, what that's going to allow you to do is, I'll show you on this blank. That's going to allow you to insert this blank into this here, okay? So now, hold that. So now imagine this is in, and I'll show you here in a second, but now it's going to give some stability here to the end of this blank. Now that's something that can be done with a fly blank, with an ice blank, with your ultralight at the house. You know, if you're a beetle spin guy, a little road runner kind of guy. So you can see when you bring a fly blank or an ice blank into a hand wrapper, this is not easy. I don't know how good we're going to be able to see this, but you know, if you start winching on this thing, you're going to see you're going to get all kind of deflection. Okay. You can see how easy we can deflect this. And this is not even a power noodle. This is actually, this CIB actually has a little bit better bend to it. So now, if we take this and we put that in there.
Flip your stand over here.
Yep.
Is it good?
Should be good. You got another band?
Of course not.
No. Do we not have another band? Anyway, put your finger on it. So now we have Hunter, the band holder here. Now your deflection is considerably less. Even just pulling on it pretty good. And also, depending on what you've got, if you've got a stand here, and then you have your additional stand over here, you're just going to add that much more stability, and you're really going to be able to wrap, for example, this guide out here. Okay. That guide really is a guide that'll keep me up all night trying to figure out how to get that wrapped. Because when you look at this, that's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, so that right there, for as far as that goes into the tubing, that is going to give you the stability to wrap a guide right there at the end. And keep in mind, if you took this a step farther, and now, you know, this drill bit's pretty short, okay? If you can find a longer bit, or if you measure your EVA to be the depth of this bit or a little bit shallower, if that's where that was inside of this tubing, you would actually drill a pilot hole all the way through the EVA, and then you could run this blank out the end of it and all the way down, and you could utilize this brass sleeve the whole length or most of this blank, because you just punch right through, you go right through the center of that EVA and all the way down, and then your rod blank is protected and held by that EVA, and then you just slide the sleeve up and down, and just slide that sleeve all the way down to where that guide is. I mean, you know, if you were going to wrap a guide, you can wrap it to all the way to right there. I mean, that is literally, that tube's not going to interfere with that guide wrap right there. So you can see, you know, there's no flex in that rod blank right at it. That's the deal. I don't care who you are.
And that's not just for ice fishing or ice rods. That's
right.
for, you know, ultralight rods. That's for fly tips. That's...
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. So that right there for the DIY rod building community that we are, that's a Buzz Butters special. And that's awesome. All right, so y'all have listened to us. Let's announce winners. And we have, all right, so the guys are playing a joke on us in the back, right? Because I know that this is a real person, and I apologize because I am not going to be able to say your last name, Laura. I'm just not. So, Laura, what do you want? You want to give that a go?
Not really, but I'll try. Rowandowski.
Rowandowski for the win. Laura Rowandowski, win a kit.
Sure.
Okay. Philip Stanley, win a kit. And we got Sean, what is that? Tangretti? Yeah. So Laura Rowandowski, kit winner. Philip Stanley, kit winner. Sean Tangretti, kit winner. Cool. Now, the grand prize turnkey kit winner is Michael Kendall. Well played, Michael.
Turnkey. And that's 3 rod builds.
3 rod builds. That's the deal right there. So, Michael, you are the big winner tonight.
I see him in chat. He saw it.
Yeah, he's on it, man. He's on it. I see him blowing it up. Good job, Michael. Right on. And also, congratulations to Laura, Philip, and Sean on the kits. That's good. Good stuff. So we appreciate you guys watching. Awesome. Let's do a question here. We got Todd. Why not add pigment to tip epoxy for an indicator?
Yeah, you definitely can.
Why not?
Absolutely. The only reason that we were doing the trim bands is because you can do multiple colors.
Yeah.
With the pigment, you're kind of restricted to, you know, just one color unless you do multiple coats or side by side. I mean, you can go crazy. Go for it, Todd.
Throw a glow pigment in there. Absolutely. If you've got a pigment that matches your rod build or, you know, your team colors or whatever you like, Todd, have at it, man. That's a great point. And you can, with any rod build, you can tint the epoxy. You know, we've got the CRB pigments that you can go through, and, you know, if you want that cool black on black look and you want black thread, but then you want really, really ultra black finish, put the black CRB pigment there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, yeah. Do we have anything else?
I
don't know.
I think we covered it. Any more questions?
Did we? Yeah. Any more questions? I think we're good. You know, the crazy thing, though, is you know how much of a topwater guy I am. But you know what? There's going to be no topwater on the ice.
Oh, there's got to be something, right?
I don't know. I'm not thinking that, you know, not thinking the spook's going to be on the ice. I can't bring my topwater. I can't throw the Zero spook on the ice.
Maybe early in the year. You can get out there.
Maybe bust it. Maybe bust a channel, kind of.
Yeah, or just have them come through the ice.
Now we're talking.
You gotta be careful though. That's thin.
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't walk out there.
Yeah, that's some like Mighty Duck stuff. You know, like why are you driving a limo on the ice? You know,
Nice.
Come on. Charlie's mom.
There we go. We got some. Steve, does the handle can't see? Take sensitivity away, maybe.
Man, I got to tell you, Steve. Sensitivity-wise, if you on the ice and 20 degrees, 22 below, if you can feel through gloves and mittens and ice and the tips on these rods are so soft, or you're like this guy. Look at this guy. All right, so we've got. There's your sensitivity, man. I mean, I don't mean to be harsh on the deal, but there's your sensitivity. So it's just that. you're long, that sensitivity trying to get down here, this is where it's at. It's in the rod tip. It's in the power noodle. It's in this guy. It's in all that. So, no, I would, handle-wise, go nuts, man. I mean, use the sleeve, use any material you want, EVA, cork, wood. Hey, you know, that sensitivity, your bite detection is out on the tip.
Yep.
Especially with ice stuff.
Michael, can you paint a power noodle blank? Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep, they're the same as, you know, fiberglass or graphite. You can paint almost any blank as long as you use a paint that has a flex agent. And that's why we always hit on the Krylon Fusion. It's got a flex agent. It's the easiest spray paint to use.
Or if you're a real paint wizard, there's a lot of them out there that, you know, paint cars for a living and do stuff like that. You can take any of those paints, you know, put a flex agent in it if you're a chemist like that, and then sky's the limit.
Yeah.
So,
Ricky, how can I find out more on Buzz Butters? Buzz's Facebook page is B&B Custom Rods.
Yep.
If you type that in, I'm not sure exactly how it's spelled, but I think it's B space the and symbol space B Custom Rods.
we'll put it up.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure to put it up, or send us an email or a direct message in through Facebook. We're not going to put his personal information out there, you know, on live, but if you message us in here, he will be happy to answer any questions. We'll give you, you know, an email or a message, you know, so that you can get to his Facebook page, or again, his email.
Yeah.
You can go wild, and he is a wealth of information. He'll keep you busy for years, for sure. He's that good. Let's see. Can you use marbling paint to dip a whole ice rod blank? All right, so Randy, you can, but keep in mind, here's what can happen with that whole deal. I don't know, how hard does that marble pigment get? Would it crack if you had?
It might, yeah.
That's the only thing I'm worried about. Plus, keep in mind, you're going to have a cylinder that is not only deep enough to drop a rod blank through, but is wide enough at the mouth so that you have enough paint on the surface. Because keep in mind, as that rod blank falls, the paint comes around it. If it was me, I would do like I showed you on this guy. I would use mesh tape. I would use masking tape. I would wrap thread. I would do anything to this rod blank to lay down an intricate pattern or something completely crazy all over this. I lay down white first, then lay a stencil of either mesh or, you know, spiral, some masking tape. You can cross back spiral, you can do whatever. Then paint with the Krylon and do that before I would magic marble. I'm just afraid. I've never done it, so I'm not saying it's not a hard no. That is just, that magic marble, I just don't know how much of a flex agent is in it, and you're just gonna have to keep in mind with, you know, it's a two-way deal. You know, you've gotta have it, the container's gotta be deep enough so that you can drop a rod blank in it, but then it's also gotta be wide enough at the mouth so that you have enough paint on the surface so as it drops through there, as it collects around, you could, one or two, you could run out of depth or you could run out of space of paint. It would be just a little tricky.
Yeah, and he said pigment too, which I'm not sure if he was talking about magic marble or
maybe I read that wrong.
Maybe the pigment that goes, you know, mixes with your epoxy. And if that's the case, then yeah, absolutely. Just keep in mind, you can't use just the pigment by itself.
Right.
Obviously, you got to add it to the epoxy.
You got to tint it.
But that would be the way to go if you were going to try it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Guffey, let's get in close with this one. John was saying that could we see the blue and white rod with the EVA grip again, please? So I'll hold that here, and we'll answer another question while you're scanning it.
Ken asked, do the kits come with sleeves? They do not. They do not come with sleeves. Now, we do sell the 10-inch sleeve, the IRHT, the smaller diameter sleeve. We sell that one.
Are you sure? I feel like we pulled a kit the other day that had that.
Oh, do they? Oh, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, yeah, I'm not.
Maybe they do. Maybe they might come in the handle kits that come with them.
That's what I think it is. I think they come in the handle kits that come with them because
very true.
When I pulled that Corkalon kit, for the video I did not too long ago. That's where that came from.
You are absolutely right.
So yeah, they do, right?
Prove wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't know it until I pulled the handle kit, so. Let's see. Could you tell us again what kind of reel that is on the rod? This reel here is made by Eagle Claw, and if you just Google Eagle Claw inline ice reel, that's what it is. The cool thing about this deal is the line comes up off the top. I don't know if you can see that. The line's up here, okay? It's not like a fly reel. It's not down here. So the line comes up off the top, so you can actually use a lower guide here. And the other reason, we should have touched on that earlier, the other reason for using this inline reel is because when it comes off a spinning reel, you get those hoops, right? Well, if you're dropping at long distances or you're using just a tiny, tiny tungsten jig, and I mean tiny, like pencil eraser tiny, if you're doing that, the twist in that line that can come off in hoops of a spinning reel, your tungsten jig can go down 30 to 200 feet. That twist has got to go somewhere. It's going to go to that jig, and then the next thing you know, you got a jig down just doing loops. That's not going to do anything.
Fish don't like that.
No. So the good thing about the inline deal is you could use a fly reel, but keep in mind with a fly reel, it's just a 1-to-1. Every time you turn it, that's all you get. But with the Eagle Claw, you've got a handle here, and that gives you a 2.6-to-1. So every turn of that handle, this spool's coming around 2.6 times, and you can put 270 yards of 1-pound test.
1 pound
Or if you
test.
want to step it up and get some real big game gear going, you can do 110 yards of 2-pound test. So you can get to work on that. And then it's got a free spool in it. That button right there, you can see it free spool out. Then you just turn it over and you're back in gear. It's also got a clicker on it. So looks pretty cool. Comes in a couple different colors. There's this carbon fiber. There's a pink carbon fiber. Maybe I did my homework now.
You did.
I thought this was cool, so that's why I like it. And actually, this is like, I think either 1 or 2 pound test. The drag's actually pretty good. I mean, it's not as good as my T-Bore Riptide or nothing, but
It's close,
good.
though.
Yeah, totally close. But yeah, so that's actually pretty cool. Clear coat that goes over the Krylon. Dan, yes, there is a clear Krylon Fusion.
Yep.
Take it right over the top. It'll shine it. It'll protect it. You'll be good. Joshua's got a question. Can't see it because of the link. Something about, did they show how to bore out the cork that comes with the turnkey kit? I don't think the butt cap came off on mine. Joshua, I'm sorry. Let's flag that question so we can answer that. I'm not quite sure what. Let me look and see which cork he's talking about, and then we'll get you a better answer. Because I want to make sure that I'm looking at what you're looking at and I can give you the right. We always jump back in, tomorrow and give answers. Or if not, one of the guys in the back, Bob or somebody, they'll jump on that because I'm not quite sure. Joshua, if you want to follow up, I'll get on that tomorrow. Or if you want to just send a message into Mudhole Facebook, I'll get that question
care of that.
squared away. And if it's something that was wrong or it was an accident or something, we'll get it fixed, replaced, whatever. We'll take care of it. Absolutely.
Mitch, any tips on wrapping tip top? I think you might have missed that segment. We definitely covered that. It was the this little tool.
Yeah, using this guy here. So you can do a couple different things. That top will get in there a little bit, or you can slide it in farther. Now, if you're wanting to wrap while the tip top is already on the blank, I'm going to suggest using the bobbin. But if you want to wrap before the tip top goes on, this is a really, really easy way to go because then you just use whatever thread is in your carriage there. But if you want to wrap after, you can come in here with the bobbin and just, go wild. Yeah. If you actually want to wrap onto the tube of the tip top, some guys will actually wrap up on that tip top tube, or if you want to wrap just before it, you can do that. And it's just like wrapping a trim band, and I would use the bobbin because you can actually get right, you can actually pinch right down to it Actually pinch right down to it and wrap it just like this. Can we see that, Guff? Cool. So there I just wrapped, and I'm actually wrapping right out on the tube there with that pink. So that's just something that I would recommend doing if you're going to want to wrap out on the tip. And you'd finish it the same way. You could, right before you get done, you would put a little loop in there and then wrap over it, cut it, pull it through. And it's pretty much like tying a nail knot, really.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
Just like a trim band.
Just a little bit of a dab of epoxy on the end.
Yep.
That's it.
Cool. Man, it's a pretty good show. What are we at? Hour and 15 minutes? 272 comments? And you guys thought we couldn't talk about ice fishing. Come on. Well, we appreciate all of the questions and comments. Hopefully you didn't beat us up too bad. Because, see, I can't see all the comments. So,
Probably for the best. Wait till the end.
No
Right
telling.
after the show.
Yeah, exactly. We'll skip town. We'll head back to Florida. We'll get the mobile Airstream unit basement deal set up. Hopefully, Mom's got us some hot pockets since it's cold outside.
Freezing cold up here.
And yeah, absolutely. All right, for everybody out there in custom rod building land, we really appreciate it. For those up in the Panhandle of Florida, y'all hang on tight. And everybody that's going to be affected by the hurricane, hopefully, I hate that. We have to deal with that on a regular basis, and we don't appreciate it. So, also, for everybody that watched and followed along for the ice thing, good luck with the ice fishing season. I'm coming up there one of these days. I'm telling you, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get every piece of clothing I got. I'm going to be like Dumb and Dumber with 2 pairs of gloves and the whole deal, man. It's going to be great.
I'm going to let you take that trip. I'm going to stay.
No, you're coming with me, man. Come on. 2 skinny Florida boys on the ice. It's going to be fantastic.
I'm already cold.
Oh, sure. It's going to be great.
All right.
Absolutely. Cool. All right. Well, as always, thank you very much. Now, the next show is going to be October 30th. Hunter and I are going to be dressed up in our favorite Halloween characters, and we're not going to announce the show yet.
It's going to be a good one.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
It'll be good. So, you got anything else? What you got?
I think that's it. I think that's going to wrap it up. Get a couple questions or...
No? I think we're good.
We're probably good.
Going once, going 7 times. Cool. Congratulations to the winners. As always, free shipping, over $99. And, man, it's about holiday season again.
It is.
Sales are going to be rolling out, and it's going to be great. So thank you, everybody, again, for following along. And we will see you 6:30 Eastern, October 30th, in a few weeks. And we'll get the basement hopping again.
Thanks for watching.
Take care.